welcome back to another video. Today wanted to take you all through some ways to be more self-sufficient. You've probably heard LRB saying on his Friday Night Lives that I've been making his juice. So I've also been saving the seeds from oranges, lemons, limes, and a few other things that we'll walk through today. Here is how I store the seeds after you've rinsed them off. You want to put them in a paper towel and really just keep them in your cabinet in a dark room temperature place. And at this point I've got two that were growing out of the same seed, and just trying very gently to separate them. It's a lot easier to do at the seed stage than it is at the seedling stage when they're already growing and intermingling all of their roots in the pot. So that was a success. And this little guy didn't really do anything, so I just sort of wanted to show you what the inside of the seed looks like. I always try to peel this outer layer off when possible, but that's where the two different sprouts can come from. And here's a little look at how I keep them, just sitting in some water for a day before I put them into the paper towel. And again, all of this was about 2 to 3 weeks worth of sitting in the cabinet. And as long as you can differentiate the end that is the sprout versus the root, you're good to go. Lemons were my other ones to check up on today. I didn't have any limes this go around, but have in the past. So you just want to identify, again, that little end there had leaves on it, so that's going to be the top of our tree, while the rest is going to be your roots. When you first put them in here, they can be a little funky shaped, but as you put them into their pots, they start moving toward the sunlight and growing taller and stronger. They'll straighten themselves out. You want to make sure to keep them covered for the first, 48 hours or so is usually all it takes, just to see that you've got some new growth going, that they're not in too much of shock from going from this damp paper towel to potentially very dry air. I've kept some covered with like a little clear terrarium lid, and that's helped them tremendously just hold all their moisture in there. Otherwise, I find myself having to kind of mist them or water them a lot more frequently at this beginning stage. All right, so these are all various citrus trees, a lot of mandarins here, lemons, probably a little bit of both kind of mixed in there at the end. These are all brand new citrus that were just done like 2 days ago. And then here what you see me sprinkling on is cinnamon. It is kind of an anti-mold agent suggested for germinating lots of different fruit seeds. So here I was using it for some cherry pits. They take 3 to 4 months in the refrigerator, also wrapped in foil inside their paper towel. So more to come on that one. It's got a bit more to go. Exciting nonetheless. Lastly, I tried a little blueberry experiment. When we were sick a few months ago, had some mullein tea with blueberries in it. We had all these seeds left at the end. And I did manage to get about 2 or 3 of them to sprout early on, but nothing since then, and it's been weeks. I bought ginger at the store, planted a little piece of the root, cut it into like 6 pieces that were all sprouting. And here you go, you're growing a new plant. It'll look just like the turmeric and the arrowroot, so it'll go out in the garden eventually. We've got both the flax lilies and the azaleas for sale on my site, so check it out. This one was my green bean container, and all the seeds from the red Malabar spinach had fallen in. So, sprouts of new guys. Let me know if you guys want some. Pineapples, another great option for just giving food back to you. So when you've bought a pineapple and you cut it open, you have left your top. Assuming there's still some green on it, and even if there's not, you want to pull off all of the bottom little leaves until you expose these little, jelly sort of bubbles. Those are going to be where your roots grow from. You want to leave it setting out for a couple of days so that the core can dry out a little bit. That will prevent it from rotting. So this one's got about another day of drying out. And then I will take it outside and plant it. You cut the top off, let it dry out for a few days, and you put it in the dirt. I bought it at the farmer's market, locally grown. But again, I'm gonna get my money's worth because it's gonna grow me more. Now here's one that didn't look so great by the time I cut it, but look, we've got 3 babies coming out. So even if the main mother doesn't survive, it's gonna give me fruit. Oh, it looks like a 4th baby starting up under there. So just don't throw things away. Even as I was eating the pineapples, you know, okay, here's one that did not make it. I don't see any pups coming out of there, but hey, who knows what could happen in 30 days. So I'll let it sit there and compost and see if anything grows. Because this could happen. Just like this did. Oh, those are so happy. Look at that thing. I will have pineapples. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Don't throw things away. There were a few seeds in there while I was eating them, so now I'm trying to see if those will sprout. I don't know if they will, but I'll give it a shot. I have just a few grapes that weren't quite in the best of condition as we're going through. Wesley does not care for the squishy ones, and I do not blame him. But the great news is I can make raisins. Celery is another great item to where you can practice a zero waste mentality. Just take the bottom of your stalk of celery that you get from the store. Cut the bottom off just a teeny bit to expose the white root part. And see, it's growing new roots. I'll give it about another week here. I change the water every couple of days, just enough to keep it wet in the bottom. And all this new growth already. It'll go in the garden before long. Another thing you'll always see around my kitchen is avocado pits. All right, so our avocado pits have been in a jar of water for a little over a week. Rinse them off, of course, get all the residue off, change the water every couple days. You see it get a little dingy. And then these outer shells, as you can see, are starting to break off. And from here, they'll be super easy to just kind of slip off.
Hi. Hi.
You're left with a skinless bit. Sometimes it'll get a little stuck on.
Hi, how's everybody's day going?
The kindest co-host. Number 2 has a couple of cracks in it, but that means it's probably going to start out pretty soon. And if you have it going for a while and you don't see any cracks in the skin, you can just kind of pierce in there with your fingernail, or, you know, super easily with maybe a butter knife. It doesn't take much force to get through the skin, even if you've only had it soaking in water for, say, 24 to 48 hours. But just taking this layer off, it's pretty fibrous, so I mean, you'll feel it would be a lot harder for a sprout to break through with this skin still on there. So all we're doing is aiding in its germination process. You know, you'll find various things online about starting avocados from seed versus grafting. Of course, grafting is going to save you a whole lot of time.
Well, your day is going very, very great because mine is too. And I hope her channel gets very popular.
Oh, thank you, Wesley. And then with these, each of them had kind of a, you know, center, if you will. And that's going to be the part that you put down. That's where the roots will actually come out, and then the sprout will come out the top here. A little hard to tell on this one, but it'll probably be right about there. Yeah. So, next step, get them in pots. We have 5 to pot today. Various sizes, shapes, colors. We'll see what happens. So here I'm just breaking up some of the sand, making sure that I can put the pits down in there easily. Twist them in a little bit. They don't need to be very deep. They really need to be just right under the soil surface. If they're peeking out, it's really no big deal. And honestly, what they kind of prefer, I've learned. This little guy just sprouted about a week ago, maybe. And he's grown up this tall, which is probably about a foot. I mean, yeah. And then this one here has been growing for a couple of weeks. You can see its top is a little bit more exposed there. And again, these are just in tiny little containers, so I need to move them up right away. This guy's just starting to sprout out. So that tells me that a lot of these others are going to be very shortly behind. I've really only had one pit so far that has not worked out for me. I went digging in to check on it after a while, and it was kind of dried up. It had a little root that came out, but the pit itself was all blackened and dried, so it went in the trash. But these are my starts, and these are my successes. So these are a little bit bigger. They're in a little bit bigger pots, but they still need potted up. So that will be happening soon too. Most of these are avocados that have been in here for, I'm gonna say about 8 weeks. And so we got our first one. See, I wasn't so sure about this guy because you could see it exposed just a little bit on the soil level while all the others are, you know, under a little soil. But he's finally sprouted, which makes me hope that all the others will be in the coming week or two. Obviously he's getting more sun because he didn't have all of the sand sitting on top. But these in the back are strawberries. I took the method that I think we've all probably seen online at one point, where you just take your strawberry top, plant it, and the little seeds should sprout. The rest of the strawberries should turn into compost theoretically and, you know, help feed the soil. But nothing coming out of them yet. I had one little spot that was kind of green, but it's not looking so green today. What are you doing? This is not a cat bed. This is a cucumber. This is a cucumber. You are not a vegetable. So while I was discovering why container gardening didn't work out, Lucas was making friends with wildlife. See how there's little fruits we found a passion fruit vine. And the pretty flowers.
Are you submitting that to YouTube?
No.
Oh, okay.
Should I?
Yeah.
Okay. This sweet boy earned himself a trip to the Springs not long ago. And self-sufficiency to him means homemade Oreos. Thank you all so much for joining me this time. We will get you updated on some more plants and some more gardening coming very soon. Have a great week.